I'm Kelsey Kenrai, and I am a strategic business coach and thought partner for established mom founders and entrepreneurs. And today we are talking about my secret sauce. We are talking about one of the most commonly asked questions that I get, which is how do you balance everything that you have on your plate, right? As a mom of three and an entrepreneur since 2012, I deeply understand the juggle, the stretch, and everything that comes with running a business and raising kids. So today we're going to talk about how I do it. And one of the tools that I use that has been most helpful and allowed me to be present where I am, whether that's in my work or with my kids, and continue to feel like I'm succeeding in my work and feel like I'm doing a pretty good job parenting. So we have definitely talked before a lot about time management, and we've talked about actually why a lot of time management techniques don't work. If you haven't watched my other video about why time management fails and doesn't work for business owners, go and check that out after this. But today specifically, we're talking about the tool of time blocking. And a lot of people know what this is. You probably are aware of it. Maybe you use it. Maybe you don't use it. Maybe you use it, but you don't follow it. Maybe it's something that you've heard of, but you're like, it's too rigid or it's too structured or it doesn't work for my life. Let me just share this with you. As a kid, I grew up with a lot of instability. And what I knew in becoming a parent was that I wanted to create structure and stability for my kids. And what I realized is that in creating structure and stability, it actually gives me more freedom. And so a lot of times we think that when we put parameters around things, it's restrictive, right? It's creating a boundary that is not allowing things to come in. But what we really need to think about is how, when we create these parameters for our life, our time, our energy, it actually filters in the right things and allows us freedom. And so, a great example of this is if we talk about my morning routine, right? So, I get up at 5 a.m. Do I love to get up at 5 a.m.? No. But does anybody? No. I also go to bed at 9 p.m. Do I love to go to bed at 9 p.m. when I would love to watch another episode of something? Of course. Do I go to bed at 9 p.m. anyways? Of course. Because I know that getting up at 5 a.m. and having 2 hours before my kids get up, because my kids are in their rooms until 7 a.m., having that 2 hours for myself changes the trajectory of my entire day, because I get that 2 hours to drink coffee, start slow, journal, read, be without my phone, and then get to move into exercise, which is foundational in what I believe about us taking care of ourselves as leaders. Your health and fitness is part of your foundation as a leader. And so that time block for me, and time blocking my schedule and having rigid structure and routine in place, allows me so much freedom in the way that I operate. So when my son was born and I was trying to figure out, how do I be the mom that I want to be for him and be present with him, and then also do this work that I really love, the answer really came to me before I knew any sort of time blocking or time management techniques whatsoever. And that was, well, you need to have a place for everything that you want to do. And so that's really what time blocking is. It's taking everything that's important for us and giving it an actual time in our schedule. I know at this point, with 3 kids, multiple businesses, and everything that we have going on, if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. And so time blocking is less about being rigid and overly structured and more about giving you the freedom to actually participate and be present in the things that you want to do. For me, time blocking allows me less stress and really helps with overwhelm, because I know that the mental load that we carry as women is very heavy. But with time blocking, I know exactly where I'm doing what task and when. And so I don't have to overthink about it. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night. I'm not suffering from insomnia. None of that is happening because I have places for everything. And so that just is more to give you an understanding of why time blocking is important. And it's not really just about your time. It's about decreasing that mental load that you're carrying. It's about being able to prioritize and make sure that you're spending your time where you want to spend your time and where you need to spend your time. So time blocking is the tool that I've found most effective for that. My technique in my shutdown routine looks like this. At the end of my day, I wrap up, I open my project management tool, I open my paper planner, and I open my calendar, my digital calendar that has all my appointments. I then take everything that is in my project management, all the deadlines there, and then my appointments, and they are going in. I have a time that is in 30-minute increments. So throughout my whole day, I can see where I have space to put projects, where anything that needs to happen is going to happen. And it sounds silly, it sounds simple, but it works. It allows me to pick my kids up from school. It allows me to be at my kids' activities. It allows me to be fully present when I'm working. It allows me to be fully present when I'm with my family. And so if you aren't utilizing time blocking, I would highly recommend that you utilize this tool. And I'm going to walk through how you can utilize this tool. So again, I just gave you a short insight into my process, but really where you want to start is by just taking all of the things that you have on your plate, and then we're going to give them dedicated spaces. And so a lot of the things that you do will probably be repeated, and then some of them that aren't, you will have to have a routine in place in which you are putting those things in time slots, right? And so on your calendar, you can easily put time blocks for, this is a work block, this is my CEO day, this is where I do this, and have those repeat. But then there's always going to be some one-off tasks that are going to need to be put in as well. And that's why I said you need to have some sort of routine that is giving those tasks on your to-do list an actual space, because we're so overwhelmed by our to-do list because they truly are never ending, but we aren't prioritizing those tasks and we're not giving them dedicated time. So if you know that that task isn't just on your to-do list anymore, instead it's on tomorrow at 10:30, it's more likely to get done, right? So we're going to get more done in less time and we're going to have less stress. This is why I utilize time blocking. All right. So the first thing that you're going to do to start utilizing this is you're going to assess your current time usage. So you're going to look at how you spend your time. So utilize your past week or past month and start to think about things that you do every day. Start to think about things that are recurring. Start to think about, how much time you're spending in your business. What are you spending it on? How much time you're spending with your family? And then start to think about what do I want to do, right? That I'm not currently doing. Like if you wanted to allot time for exercise and you felt like, okay, that's not something I have time for right now. So you're just going to make a list and assess your current time usage. You want to identify patterns and areas where your time is wasted or mismanaged when you do this as well. So once you're aware of where you're losing time, you can get more of it back. And so it's always important to basically make a catalog list of everything, all of your responsibilities inside the business and outside the business. I understand it would be a big list, but it's really, really important. You can utilize your calendar, your project management tool, and of course your family schedule if you have one too. So once you identify, okay, well, here's where I'm losing time. This is, something that could be delegated. This is something that's taking too much time. Then we start to identify, okay, we could put some solutions in place for that. But first, we're going to just see, what are we spending our time on? Second, we're going to prioritize those tasks and responsibilities. So you need to determine your most important tasks and responsibilities, and you prioritize those by looking at your long-term goals along with your personal values. And so you want to know what your needle movers are. What are the things that are the most high impact? And then circle those things and really pay attention to those things, because we need to make sure that those are consistent. So then you're going to start allocating time blocks for specific things. So I touched briefly on this, but you're going to actually go back through your list and say, okay, for me, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are coaching days. And so Tuesdays and Wednesdays are that's where my clients are going to be booked in. So I know that if I have time between appointments that I can slot stuff in, but for the most time, I know that deadlines for things are not going to fall on a Tuesday or Wednesday because it's not always guaranteed that I could get to them. So you just want to start taking the specific things that you're doing, kids' activities, picking kids up from school, meetings, anything that you are doing on a regular basis, and allocating time for that via a time block. So you would have that repeat, say that's every day. Say you're reviewing things from your team. Do you need a daily review block that's Monday through Thursday for 30 minutes? So take your task, think about how long that task takes you, and then create a time block and then schedule that. And that's really like the process of actually creating the calendar itself, is just brain dump of responsibilities, taking those responsibilities and organizing them, seeing what needs to be removed from those responsibilities, seeing what is high priority, what your needle movers are, what your non-negotiables are, and then taking those and allocating time blocks for them. And then you add in, because you've gained time back, then you start to add in, okay, now I can put exercise here. The thing about this is it's a little bit difficult for me to explain here, but once you have the visual, it's so much better. So when you have the calendar in front of you, you can see, we all have the same 24 hours. So if you need to put in there your 8 hours of sleep and your 1 hour for exercise and your 1 hour for reading, like we all have the same 24 hours. And so laying things out to where you have an actual work schedule, and within that work schedule, you can see again exactly what you're doing. And then in between those things, that's where your to-dos can fall. So you want to allocate specific time blocks for specific tasks. Then, once you have your calendar set to actually follow this, you want to minimize distractions. Utilize Do Not Disturb on your phone, turn off the notifications from Slack, shut your email. It is really, really important for productivity and efficiency for there to be as little distractions as possible. The more distracted you are, the more stuff that's going on around you, the longer something is going to take. And so if we want to get our time freedom back, we need to make sure that we are muting those distractions and telling people and communicating to anybody around us that, hey, like I need this to be uninterrupted time. So minimize your distractions, utilize Do Not Disturb, utilize all these little things, turn off notifications. That will be super helpful. So you also want to be very flexible but consistent. So the great thing about time blocks is, again, when you open up your calendar, you will be able to see actual blocks in your schedule and what you're doing in those blocks. The great thing about blocks is, say you take a vacation or say you take a day off, you can literally just move a block. And that's why when I talk about structure giving you freedom, this is one of the places that shows up. Because you have an actual visual of all your responsibilities, you can easily shift those responsibilities to a different day and a different time. Another thing to consider is when you're laying this out, it will be tempting to push everything together, right? To just, okay, my work hours are 9 to 3, right? So I can just completely book 9 to 3. What I want to encourage you to do is make sure that you have buffer time, you have white space, and that you take time between meetings, take a lunch break. So when I actually write my schedule for the next day, the first thing that I will put in is like my lunch break and my shutdown routine. So my lunch break is at 12 and my shutdown routine is at 3. And so it's important for you to have this space in here and these breaks. My meetings with clients are 50 minutes. I have a 10-minute buffer between calls. It's just like little things like that to where you can take a breath is so important for us, because we don't want to be constantly moving from one thing to the next, because that's really how we've been wired as a society already. And so if we don't want to feel reactive, if we want to be able to move through our days and actually be creative, innovative thinkers and problem solvers, we need to have space. So don't book your calendar straight through. Try to have, even if it's 5 minutes that you go take a walk outside, something small, it all makes a difference. But make sure that you get those scheduled breaks and buffer time between things. So that is how you're going to utilize time blocking. It is a very simple and straightforward process, but again, it can be truly life-changing and provide the structure that you need, give you, boundaries to your work hours. And again, it helps so much to be present where you are. For me, I know that when I do my shutdown routine at 3 and I wrap up, like I'm done, and everything is staying in here with my work, and that can be it, and then I can come back and do the same thing the next day. And so I can go out into my house and be mom and be fully present there. And I know that that's what you want. I know that so many women struggle with the mental load that they're carrying. So I hope this is helpful for you. I hope you utilize time blocking and that you get really organized with your time, because the more organized and efficient you get with your time, the more time you get back. And if you need help to organize your CEO schedule, that is the first step that I take with clients, be that in a VIP day or in my private partnership. How we utilize our time and our energy is so important. Time is our greatest asset. It is the one thing that we cannot get back. And so we have to take this seriously. We do not want to be spending our entire lives working and not being present, because that will fill us with so much regret looking back. So if you need help to get organized with your time, if you need help to change your infrastructure of your business to support time freedom, I can definitely help you. You can book a call and we can talk about what that looks like for you. But again, use time blocking. It is a lifesaver. And if you have any questions about how to do this process, just send me an email and me and my team will be glad to assist. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next week.